There you go. It's a lot of room. I know, and I would too. See, I'm doing it.
Now you're stuck there for the whole event.
Yeah, well, it's only an hour.
Yeah. It's 45 minutes.
We went to the bathroom, so we're good.
45 minutes.
You want to know how to turn it on?
Yes, I just got it centered.
Just hit that red button and it'll change to REC.
This is full up here.
Is it on the floor and on the side?
No, they're doing something. It's my can go in that corner.
Okay.
I hate to put you there, but anything against the wall since all the seating is full.
Yeah, I guess that wall right there.
2 people are going to be sitting there taking up that space, so it has to be on that side or in the back.
Should we sit on the floor?
Those are the only 2.
Where?
Anywhere, wherever you want to be. Everybody knows.
Attention, we're going to start. Testing.
Thank you all for coming. This is exciting to have you.
Attention, if we could quiet a little bit. We want to start.
And people can come in and sit on the floor if you want, as far as we're concerned. Tomorrow also we'll be on some panels in the afternoon, and then Alan Steinfeld and us in the larger, I think it's Laguna Room, are doing a remote viewing. But today we're doing, yes, it'll be really great. And that's a much larger room. Today we're going to actually talk about extraterrestrials. How many have been watching? I know no one likes the news anymore. And how many have watched the news in the last 48 hours? Okay, well, we're going to
so you know we're on a
I'm glad nobody's watched the news. I think that's very cool.
A little bit about our background. Desiree and I are social scientists, futurists, remote sensing specialists. We worked in more than 30 countries regarding the extraterrestrial question or hypothesis. And we have also had the opportunity to work directly with Gordy Cooper, one of the pioneer astronauts, with several of the other astronauts, but more importantly, we've had experiences, direct experiences with the cosmic others, quote unquote. So we're going to give you a general overview of some of our research,
And you know, this is a really short lecture for us, two people talking. So,
realizing the importance of what is happening in Washington with both former President Obama and our present president. But more importantly, the theme we will call the age of intervention. Things are happening now. I'm wearing this indigenous teaching cord because I'm with the indigenous tribe known as the Xavante in southern Brazil. And they, plus the Kogi of the country of Colombia in South America, have told me personally the star people are coming back because we have misused the planet. The industrial north has destroyed the planet. Intervention is on its way. Whether we like to take political sides or not, this is a question regarding the whole human race. So it's important for us to go beyond politics and realize the age of intervention is realizing what the indigenous tell us, and Gurdjieff also tells us, in terms of self-realization, the great European mystic of the 19th century. When we realize our mortality, we realize the issues of immortality, and the big question of life then begins.
So some of you may know my husband wrote a book called The Keys of Enoch, based on a unique higher Merkaba experience. This is not extraterrestrial, but in connection with that, there were many other experiences. We want to just give you an overview at the start. There's a couple seats out in the up the front, if anyone wants to sit. So this is our friend. We'll talk about her, Elizabeth Clark. This is who picked her up in southern Africa and took her to another place, actually Centauri, which is, they said to her in the 50s, the closest place to here is Centauri. That's exactly right. Then this is actually a
Called the
being.
J-Rod. In 1995, Washington, D.C., under the Rockefeller Initiative,
Sit on the floor.
a top conference took place called When Cosmic Cultures Meet. Dr. John Mack from Harvard and I were there. He's leading speakers, and I actually showed pictures of the 4 different races at that time. Actual pictures that I'd gotten from the indigenous elders in South America. And you can actually see it if you're smart enough through the YouTube to track down When Cosmic Cultures Meet 1995. You'll actually see in that section an actual mannequin that I created as a result of the pictures that were given to
So
me.
this is the J-Rod from, it was from Area 51, we'll talk about it. This is a praying mantis type. It's kind
We
of,
saw in South America.
and this is, of course, the Jalisco stones. How many people know about the Jalisco stones? These are
Some of
stones in Mexico that they found in a cave. Michael Forrest and others have done a lot of research, as well as Jaime Maussan.
So we know there's a lot of variation.
So we're,
And this is one special specimen, the typical ET extraterrestrial, which is having a body that is somewhat grayish or dark blue, who generally are evolving as we humans are, although they are functioning between the 7th and the 5th dimension. And they represent some of the so-called intruders that Bud Hopkins and others like John Mack refer to in their work.
so this is something that Dr. Hurtak wrote in one of his recent books about the different extraterrestrial and ultra-terrestrial races. A little recap. They're extraterrestrials, or ETs, who generally are evolving just as humans are, although they function in other dimensions, sometimes the 5th to the 7th. So what our cosmology and what he saw in his experience is that the local heavens are not that different from the consciousness field of this planet. See, we always think, right, that once you get off the planet, everything is great, and everyone's great, and everyone loves each other. Forget it. That's not a reality. So basically, wisdom with discernment helps us make a distinction between merely technologically advanced cultures and spiritually conscious advanced cultures. Some of them are spiritually advanced consciousness.
So when we speak of global heavens, we're speaking of our solar system. We're also speaking
of the galaxy, and also mostly the entire universe. There's different aspects of that. Many of you have their own agenda. So that's one of the reasons, I'll say reason number one, that disclosure has not taken place. Too many agendas. How does the government say, oh my gosh, there's you'll see in one of the books, they say 81 different extraterrestrial races. I mean, that's a lot. You think the government's going to be able to say that? No, they're breaking it down, which is okay. So
this is a release that was picked up by the BBC on my work in 2022 regarding a series of ships that arranged themselves in a V-shaped flotilla over southern Brazil. 21 ovnis or extraterrestrial ships were seen. Actually, the category here is even beyond extraterrestrials, what we would call ultra-terrestrial, interdimensional.
And this is, you can find this is actually BBC News. The top is a little dropped off here.
I gave the information to NASA, which conveniently lost the information. So it was never shown in this country, but it was shown in UK.
Yeah, but flotillas exist, and as Dr. Hurtak said, we were good friends with Gordon Cooper, astronaut Gordon Cooper, and his first experience in 1951, and I love that because it's before we would have developed it. He said there was a whole flotilla, not one ship that flew by with a bunch of lights, a flotilla of ships that were above where we could go at that time. He was Air Force, right? And he was flying next to MiGs or Russian, whatever they had at that time, and they were watching it. So what did happen to him when he came back and reported it? Did they put him in a straitjacket for seeing UFOs in 1951? No, what do they do? Make him an astronaut.
Each one of these spheres is the size of a football field. You can imagine how large this is. Well,
So
of course, the story goes back to Winston Churchill.
Right, we all think that Roswell was the biggest cover-up. Well, it wasn't. Go ahead.
During World War II, there were interesting vehicles that were seen all over the world.
So Prime Minister Winston Churchill ordered a UFO cover-up. I think he's the first, but who knows. In 5th of August, 1944, due to a confirmed military sighting of a UFO. A secret 1957 report prepared for Britain's intelligence chiefs says there's an average of one sighting reported a week way back then. 57, okay? And then in 2010, 5,000 pages of this came out from the Ministry of Defense and the National Archives for the public. And just as Steve Bassett said yesterday, you know, one of our greatest friends is Nick Pope. He was from the ministry.
I was with
there.
Nick at that time.
And anyway, but he is very ill and will only be with us a short time, which is really sad.
He sends his regards, but this same there's a request that we continue this research. So important. Well, where are they? Were they off the coast of East and West America? Obviously they were. We have a listing here of some of the military ships, the interactions that took place. In November of 2004, the U.S. Nimitz and Princeton off of California were involved with the sightings of ships. And then in 2009, the U.S. Russell also was involved. 2019, the Rafael Peralta and the John Finn vessels were involved. But more importantly, we have top video and military documentation as a release.
So let me just say, right, so Southern California, we're all here, right? I mean, basically, of course, the Tic Tac was #1, then 2019. This doesn't go as far, but we're going to show you in 2023, the guy named Wiggins, who was on another boat, military ship, we'll say Navy ship, off the coast of San Diego, also saw Tic Tacs. Now, some people think that Tic Tacs are government, we'll say, you know, really government ships, not real. But basically, I believe that there's been so many sightings off of here and that were unknown to the Navy that we do believe that most of those are real. Doesn't mean there isn't some of us nowadays. Now, I come from Florida, lots of stuff there. My girlfriend, even that's how I got with my husband, because back in the 70s, she had contact when she was a marine biologist with a whole team out there at contact with aliens who said they had a base there. So there's definitely a base off the coast of Florida, maybe the ancient Atlantis, but there may be also off of San Diego.
And what is important here is also the shape of a pyramid-like object in the Keys of Enoch, which is one of my books here on the table. The first picture is showing a pyramid-shaped object over Mother Earth. So when these pyramidal objects, which represent a different class of interdimensional intelligence, appears, it's a warning sign. Also, the Keys of Enoch is the only book to mention 2004 as a time of sightings coming out of the ocean that will change the scientific paradigm.
In the 1970s, Dr. Hurtak said that 2004 would be the start. And it was really the start for the release, for the disclosure.
So when I had the experience and I had specifics that seemed to match up, I was able to get closer to some of the top people in our government and foreign governments, particularly Brazil. So everything that you've seen and heard recently from Elizondo in Brazil, I was there 20 years before with the same people.
So we're going to hear about off the coast of Virginia. Keep that in mind when we look at the first hearing with Ryan Graves. So let's go on. So there's a book and now a documentary about the 81 extraterrestrial species. It's published by MUFON, at least this one, the book was. In my understanding, because I know Craig and he shows up, there's going to be contact in the desert if you guys are interested in the end of May. But I think MUFON gave him a bunch of papers and said, go ahead, put this together. This is the research that we've gotten. They tried to put it into documentary, which we're in. But how do you put 81 species in a short documentary? I mean, it's just a little bit, could have a better, we'll say, pathway on that. But I just want to give you an overview of it. So let's go on to see if this works.
These are the typical types, the classical vehicles, the grotesquerie of other species, and other experiments with the human race, the unusual insect types resembling what the indigenous cultures have taught are good and bad, just as humans are good and bad. The overview showing us that we have a galactic community that we're being prepared to join. We can hold our breath, activate our hearts, and understand the preciousness of life. Otherwise, we are reduced to a military machine under control by AI.
The U.S. government had at least 3 different projects to officially study.
Who's here?
The veils between our reality and the higher reality are getting thinner.
At this point in their evolution,
Everyone knows he's going to be talking here.
Have developed the ability to see the structure of existence.
Earth itself is a type of science experiment
Mark
by
Sims.
ascended beings.
The whole universe is teeming.
Chris Bloodstone.
I have memories of being in my full 100% Arcturian self.
Vivian Chauvet.
There are a number of different reasons why they are motivated
Barbara
to
Lamb.
create hybrids.
There is a basis of love,
And
purpose,
Chris
and
Truly.
integrity that keeps us all together, not only as a cosmic family, but a family of divine purpose.
Everybody asks, what is their agenda? Why are they doing this?
They are opening the gate to global 5D consciousness, which is
That's
giving
Craig
us a
himself.
choice in our evolution.
They would like to help humanity.
His face reminded Betty of that
Bradley
of
Martin.
an Asian person.
They did have 2 arms, 2 legs, but their head was like elongated.
The skin color is typically going to be a greenish color or a grayish color.
Mothman is this gigantic creature. It looks kind of like a moth.
Those who are waiting for silver and gold spaceships to come and save humanity are waiting in vain.
There you have it, a variety of views
Yeah,
suggesting that we have to, shall we say, bootstrap our knowledge base and understand that this is not a new story, but it's one that goes back thousands of years.
Right, and that's just the trailer for a larger film, which I believe is available on Amazon at this time. But
So
now,
my work began back in the 70s. I was able to talk with colleagues in South Africa. Elizabeth Clark was a very well-known and respected investigator. In fact, her husband was a member of British intelligence. We had an opportunity to work with her in some detail, and she was surprised in the Keys of Enoch that I wrote in 1973 that I had mentioned the home base that her contactee was from, the area of Mitone. And at the same time, I was surprised that she had information that confirmed my experience. So we became best of friends, and an actual film was made 3 years ago on her life, Beyond the Light Barrier, which you can see through several of the platforms on the internet. And in short, she was taken off the planet for sexual experimentation. She gave birth to a child. She came back, of course. She was laughed at by MUFON and considered crazy, but she did speak eventually to the British House of Lords.
so we'll share the mic. So in the 1950s, as he said, Elizabeth Clark was contacted while in the Drakensberg Mountains of South Africa by this being called Akon. She was later taken by him to Alpha and Proxima Centauri, where she stayed on the planet Meton for 4 months. So she actually, what she did there is she gave birth to a son on Meton and called him Ailing. They said that they could not give bring the kids back and forth too much. It's actually a stress when you're living in a physical world, a physical planet. The vibrations and frequencies are quite different. So she had to leave him there. Interesting scenario on that. This is how they lived. This is the house of Miton. They had a spaceship landing on the top. And this is all in her book, Beyond the Light Barrier, which is available in PDF now online. And that there's living rooms and bathrooms, and they were pretty much just like us.
Incidentally, in the film, I actually show the face of one of the extraterrestrial specimens that was being examined in South Africa. And so what we are showing you in a brief way is that the governments behind the scenes have known about this story for a long time. Unfortunately, they have not been able to download this in practical terms. What I would call the sociology, the psychology, and the futuristic aspects of what we do with this information. It's one thing to see this on the screen. It's another thing to interact with these strange entities face to face. You have to have good psychology or spiritual, metaphysical background to reach them through telepathic communication. Anyway, the being that she was connected with was also working with a team of researchers, one called Sharon, and she writes that the radiations in the sun system, our sun system, had become far too intense for our well-being, and we were forced to live underground. This, of course, was not to our liking, so we moved out of the solar system.
Right. So supposedly they actually lived on Venus. This is what they told her. Venus, Earth, and Mars all had habitation. But in the actuality, Venus had too many solar flares, so they had to get out of it. And they left behind species on Earth and Mars. That's what he told her. So we know about the Earth part. Is it working or no?
Tech is away.
Tech is away, yeah, that's what I thought. So for a while when they lived here, supposedly they lived in Antarctica, which is one of the reasons why she was contacted in South Africa. So as he went to the control panel, this is when she was flying to Centauri, the flickering screen lit his face, sharpening the fine molding of his features. His name is Sharon, he said in a deep voice. My ancestors remained on Earth to study the Pleistocene cycle of solar expansion. They constructed a beautiful underground city where they survived the intense radiations. Moving into the heart of the great mountains of the southern continent, they maintained our civilization there. Even to this epoch on Earth, our spaceships come and go, retaining the base within the vast wastes of Antarctica. That's what they told her.
So some of you may have heard the rumors that members of Congress and individuals of high position went to the area of Antarctica a few years back and actually came across the underground entrance. We were there in the 70s with the South African expedition, and I have pictures, not for this presentation, but for the future, of the interesting statues that were found under the ice. Egyptian-like statues, faces that were human, but of gargantuan, large size. So clearly there was intelligence. In fact, in the Talmud, the Jewish mystical traditions, we are told that the extremes of the earth were under vast cold as a consequence of changes that took place.
Now again, we actually are the Academy for Future Science, and we talk on every level from, as I said, on tomorrow with Alan Steinfeld at 6 o'clock, we're going to be talking about remote viewing, giving the process of that. We also talk about spiritual consciousness, and also, as you're here for, extraterrestrials. But how many people have seen this video on Amazon Prime?
Some of you.
Okay.
Should all see it.
So the point is, it's mostly about the government and what they're releasing. You have people like Marco Rubio talking on the film, and of course he's Secretary of State right now. You know, we do recommend it if you need an overview of what is going on in Washington.
National Security.
Yeah.
That was released on the 20th of November.
Yeah.
What was released in Mexico that same time was a documentary that I did. Coincidentally, we were not aware that this was going to be released. But if you go to Masan TV, that's Jaime Masan TV,
or our Keys of Enoch YouTube,
you will see the philosophical interpretation of what is not being said on this. This is all military. We're looking at this from a non-military spiritual perspective, which means a higher understanding that there is a underlying vibratory connection we have in consciousness.
Right, we just, Alan Steinfeld, when we were there at Ford, just did an interview with Ross Coulthard. And one of the things he said is the drones that have been sighted now in over 12 different international airports, and they've closed airports, probably are not drones like we were thinking from China or Russia or even the US. They really could be some sign from extraterrestrials to start, waking up. So I want to go back very quickly to the high points of the hearing. So July 26, 2023, House of Representatives public hearings on UAPs. Most of you at least had heard about it, I'm sure, from Ryan Graves, David Grush, and Captain Favor. So Grush, you're probably familiar with. He was an intelligence officer. He was told to find out about the legacy program. Do they have UFOs in, hidden places? Do they have bodies? And he found out yes and yes. But he says, now give me the information because I'm, appointed by the Senate to get that information. They said, go to, so no way. So this happened. How many people know about this one? I'm sure you all should. Everyone should know that this was seen off the coast of San Diego. Actually, a couple days. It wasn't just one day. In fact, that picture wasn't even taken by him. He couldn't take it. He was following the UFO too much. And then someone else flew up after him from the boat that he was on and caught that picture. And then they went really super, super fast. But what we want to play for you is Ryan Graves. So that's going to come out right now. Let's hope. Let's see. Last time it worked.
Chairman Gothman, Ranking Member Garcia, distinguished members of the House Oversight Subcommittee on National Security, Representative Burchett and Luna. My name is Ryan Fobbs Graves, and I am a former F-18 pilot with a decade of service in the U.S. Navy, including 2 deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Today, I would like to highlight 3 critical issues that demand our action. As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers. And I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, but soon we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned to base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs.
So I just gave a little short because if you look at the Age of Disclosure film, you'll see Hal Puthoff talking about the sphere as what a UFO looks like, and then inside they detailed here a black cube or a type of geometry inside. So the idea is what's around it is a field, and that field allows them to go really super fast without feeling it inside the object. So this is, and that was 2023, right? You think that was enough for the government to come out and say things. 2 F-18s were split by a UFO going between them. I mean, come on, this is like, yeah. I mean, people don't
Super
listen.
intelligence, intervention taking place for reasons yet to be understood. My colleague, Alan Steinfeld, published a book called Making Contact.
Which we did a chapter in.
And he was able to participate. Also, we were invited to participate at the other disclosure.
Yeah, actually, Alan's sitting right behind Danny Sheehan, who you can see there. And of course, this has...
More illustrious Admiral Gallaudet, Louis Elizondo, the chief voice of post-Pentagon knowledge, Michael Schellenberger, who knows a lot more than is being said about the the legacy program, of course, Mr. Michael Gove from NASA. So all of these are very illustrious individuals.
Right, and we did a part of a watch party. You can see us in the corner there. It's on Alan's channel, New Realities.
But the question is, were the questions really answered that were put to them?
So, you could go over and listen to it, but the best questions, the best thing is from Luna from Florida, who asked the following questions. Does everyone kind of know? She is actually out by Clearwater, Florida. That's close to Tampa. And she was on the Joe Rogan show and talked about, like, when she does her swearing in, she does it on the Ethiopian Bible. So she likes the Book of Enoch, the ancient Book of Enoch. But she has some fabulous questions. So,
can you name the country in a round time frame where the first back engineered UAP program started?
What is back engineering? Means when you got the UFO, you went and looked to see how it was designed and developed, and you copied it.
No answer to that, but in a larger sense, Spain was the first in 1976.
Well, but we also had it from the 40s, so.
Second question. To your knowledge, have any of the USO or submerged vehicles ever outpaced our submarines?
Now, if you want to go listen to this, we don't have the time today, but Schellenberger says yes. There was information, and they've recorded it, that there were the USOs, that's unidentified submerged objects, were actually going faster than our ships could go.
I would simply say also, I know this through one of the admirals I talked to years ago, that the extraterrestrial ships were so large they could break up American and Russian naval operations. So this was a big story, kept quiet. Number 3, are you aware of any hotspots that currently exist off our shores of North America? We have heard reports of these potentially being hotspots, maybe entry and exit points.
Have you heard of, well, we say Florida, and many people are claiming San Diego, we'll say Southern California. So, there's another page of this.
In regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever they may be, non-human biologics, could you agree with us likely that they're being piloted by some mind-body connection?
And so Lou Elizondo picks up these questions. All these are somewhat answered. Some of them they said they can't answer, whatever. But he said, now listen to that. Is there some mind-body connection? That's what here she is. She's a House of Representatives representing this committee, and she's asking these questions. These questions are actually better than half the answers is what we're really saying. So is there some mind-body connection? And Lou Elizondo says, because he's done even remote viewing himself, he says, yes, it's almost like they're stalking, that they know where we are, what we're doing, how we're working.
So we're hardwired to have consciousness filters, to feel those beings that are interdimensional.
So there's 2 aspects of this. One, that the machine, the vehicle itself, the UAP, UFO, could be being managed by the person inside, by the mind. And the other is, and we've said this, I think it's said actually in Making Contact, the book, that once you've seen a UFO, you're actually quantumly entangled with that. So it's very interesting because you've had that connection. It's gone into your mind then is connected with that alien ship. So I'm going to go to the next one.
In a previous panel we had David Grosh, and he had testified to say that some of these beings were interdimensional beings. Can you speak on that at all? Are you inferring that they are living craft?
So again, this is 2 more of her questions we wanted to put in. So Grush said that they were interdimensional beings. I mean, here you are again, House of Representatives person asking, are they interdimensional? We agree with that. They're not just 3rd and 4th dimensional, 4th being time, they're 5th dimensional, maybe even other dimensional beyond 5th. And can you speak of that, and are they living craft? In other words, how many people have listened to, if not, go to News Nation, look at Jacob Barber with Ross Colhart. How many people have heard of that? Not enough of you guys. What are you doing? Anyway, it's free. You can find it on the internet. Let me give you a little background on this. And even Ross Colhart the other day was saying he was overwhelmed by this because this guy is military. He goes out on both extraterrestrial and, we'll say, government retrieval programs for even our own technologies. He picked up this UFO, not with his hands, but with a long cable. He's flying in an aircraft, and he had to grab it to bring it to somewhere else. He felt the energy of the craft. You have this man who's military practically crying on TV because of the love and the energy that he picked up just by pulling on this craft from a large cable underneath
So
his
there's the
aircraft.
feminine aspect of some of these spaceships interfering or connecting with our subconscious and our consciousness.
Now we are a bit spiritual, so I love this other question.
Do any of you ever come across reports from people that claim to have first-hand experiences with these entities, whatever they may be, or these aircraft, and then as a result, whether or not they are religious, find that these things automatically disappear?
So we had a friend in New Mexico years ago. She, her son, and her dog and her tractor were picked up. And of course, the first thing out of her mouth was, Jesus Christ! And they actually said, you can't use that, and they put her back. I don't know.
We talked to others, also used the Hebrew name for God, Yahweh, and they also were brought back.
So there's a lot of different, and it doesn't mean for all of them. Get it? There's 81 different types.
So there's a code system that's built into nature, we believe, into what I would call
panel we had
acoustical physics that will allow some of us to communicate and others not.
And some of them would say, yeah, welcome aboard. We're just saying there's various types of extraterrestrials. That's the complication. So far, why haven't there been disclosure? Well, I say three things. One, it's been like, if you go back to 44 or even go back to 47, there's been a lot of cover-up. There's maybe even been harm to some people who have released information or wanting to release information. That would be a lot. It's like the Epstein files, like on steroids, right? Now we can use that term. Anyway, so if they release that. Second is, of course, it's so complex. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, how do you explain all these things? And wow.
So May 1st.
Wait. And the third thing is the fact that we have the technology. We have been back engineering. So, all right, go ahead.
The fourth thing is, of course, the spiritual frontiers. May 1st last year, 2025, these distinguished individuals, including physicist Davis, were queried by Congresswoman Luna, and he admitted that we had in possession at this time 4 types of ETs. Now, if you go back to the original when Cosmic Cultures Meet conference in Washington, 1995, Dr. John Mack and I showed specimens of these categories. What took 30 years was the fact that people were not willing to look at a whole new ontology, a non-fear technology that would accept the fact that we're not alone in the universe.
Right, so instead of 81 races, let's just get it down to 4, and this is a good, category. So the grays, and if you listen to Whitley Strieber or even Linda Mullen-Howell, they say in some cases they're almost just containers. And this is what Whitley's been coming out with recently. We can talk more on that later if we can. Nordics, which are like us, but there's all these different forms of Nordics, elongated skulls, tall whites, ... reptilians, and insectoids. There's also different types of insectoids as well. So we put together this little picture that we've used many times. You have reptilians that are 2 to 3 meters high. You have, what we call,
the Adamics, people of all colors, branches of the human race.
We don't call them Nordics because that's kind of like one thing, but the Adamic species, that's all of us. We're not just from here, that's a whole nother lecture, but as others have said, like Vivian Chavez, that we're from Arcturus, we're from the Pleiades, others have our species, also other stars. We exist in
so
those places.
the archetype of the Adamic Adam and Eve story is somewhat being continued. And then we have different types of grays, hybrids, insectoids, tall whites, tall blues, different colors of superhumans. And we'll show you that in some of our film documents later this year. Let's get now to the real meat of what's being said in Washington.
Right, we just have a little ways to go. So September 9, 2025, easy to remember is 999. There was another hearing. This time, the main people, with the exception of George Knapp, who's actually really more of a reporter, but brought in things from Russia, Nucitelli, Chief Wiggins, and Borland all had physically seen UFOs. So they were at this hearing. And this is just a recap. Higgins saw in 2023 the Tic Tac off of the coast of San Diego.
But he saw what we call the red square UFO.
Yeah, Nucitelli saw it at Vandenberg. How many people know what Vandenberg Air Force Base is? Come on, guys, you're from Southern California.
So we were being
major place.
We were being orientated by geometrics.
Yeah, and then the final one is also, and this came out in I think news. I mean, his major thing was Langley Air Force Base. That's where Borland reported. Langley, CIA area. I mean, these aliens are not just floating
Where
around.
huge pyramids appeared over CIA headquarters, over the Pentagon, also over Moscow. With the superpowers we were being told we were being watched. These geometric forms, of course, have relationships, we believe, to the structure of pyramids in India, Peru, Mexico, Egypt, all over the place, as monitoring devices.
So now, this is what happened the last week, okay? This is the first thing.
Last 3 days. Last 3 days.
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous
Let me try that one more time. It should have started with UFOs are real.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility, unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first thing?
That's a podcast if you want to look at it.
Where are the aliens?
That was one of his first questions. So, actually, Area 51, I don't know. We're very...
I have a colleague who worked in Area 51, and he examined the bodies. He was a microbiologist.
Well, also live aliens. So maybe they don't have them in, like, containers that they've been frozen for 50 years or whatever. But Dan Bursch, that's the person, Roger Lear's next to him, and then Dan's associate. But anyway, Dan says he was there. Aliens came and talked to him. They had neuropathy. And he's a microbiologist. They asked us, and this is an interesting thing, they asked us to solve their neuropathy problem. They've been cloning themselves too long. They're not doing well. So there's a friend of ours wrote a book, They Need Us, We Don't Need Them.
So some of these extraterrestrial experimenters have taken liberties, which I believe is one of the reasons the governments of the world have been quiet.
And again, this is not all of them, but this really, you can...
Another colleague of ours is the late Roger Lear, who went down to Brazil to examine the actual specimens
of Varginha
and talk to the medical doctors. He was able to go there. I was there in 1996, a couple of days after they landed. He was there some years later, but he was able to talk to the medical doctors who were formerly under top secret.
Right, if you look at Roger
Status.
Lear talking with Art Bell, it's a short, about 15-minute thing. At the very end, he talks about this. He was talking to the doctor who was trying to save the being, the Varginha being, who communicated to the doctor. Here's this doctor, he wasn't any extraterrestrial expert, but he was trying to help the guy. And he said, it's very sad you don't know who you are. You have the same abilities we do. And you have cut yourself off from your spiritual side.
Very important
That was
words.
the message.
I'm there because of my work with the indigenous elders worldwide. And this is a very special team because it represents what I believe the middle ground between Orthodox science and religion. The indigenous are working directly with the star nations. They would be the best representatives of a new psychology,
Okay,
sociology, and balance between East and West.
Don't run out of the room, sorry. But after Obama released that, obviously people asked Trump what he thought of that. This is just, where was it? It was Thursday.
The 20th.
Yeah, Thursday. The other day. Okay, here, this is what he said. He's in an airplane, so it's going to see.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, if the president can declassify anything that he wants to, so if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
That's exactly what happened.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. Ooh, that was just Thursday. Now, we're not really super hopeful, but yeah. Anyway, although we can't always trust everything.
We know that Chaim Shad, a great
general
specialist in aerospace,
yeah,
claimed that Trump knew about UFOs back in 2019 and was told by the ETs not to announce it.
That's what Chaim Hesed.
So Trump definitely had a speech prepared to go as early as 2019.
And supposedly his daughter now gave rumor, if you followed any of the TV, that he has a speech. He's always had a speech ready to go in case something happens and stuff. But this is what he did do, and I think he also did it on Thursday, but it was like Thursday night. And you can see this on the Expo. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War, unfortunately that's what they call it now, and other relative departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, unidentified flying objects, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. So God bless us.
The word God, which in a largely reductionistic, materialistic society doesn't exist, but that's the indigenous interpolation is that the divine source is the most important.
Yeah. So we're on the cusp. Some people think nothing's going to happen. Some people think, well, like the British, they'll release things that are not important, but still saying that they've done something. Or they could make a change. We'll see what happens, obviously. We're not going to side either way. But as I mentioned, Area 51 really does exist because that's where Dan Bursch was. He's an associate of ours. He actually had
the bottom line.
He had read the Keys of Enoch as well.
The bottom line is a galactic government is coming, and the Earth governments are going to take second place.
So you may also not like Uri Geller, but this was his comment to what
just
was
posted
said
2 days
by,
ago.
Yeah, this is what he said regarding the Obama claim.
He is the highest regarded sensitive and psychic in the world.
Hi, my dear friends. Obama says aliens are real, but Area 51 could be a conspiracy theory. Of course he's right, because a UFO did crash around Area 51. The bodies that were pulled out of that UFO, some were mangled, some were wounded, some were intact. I've seen them. They were taken to Goddard Space Flight Center to be studied and refrigerated, close to freezing. Listen, this is exactly what I've seen in that huge refrigerated room, as big as my museum. Of course, this is an animated photo. There were quite a few of them, and they looked very much like this one here, frozen. And as I said, some were injured. Look, I've been told many times not to talk about something to do with Korea. I don't care anymore. The American Army flew me undercover. They said, well, look for tunnels, but that wasn't the main reason I flew to Korea. Here I am with American and Korean soldiers because a huge UFO is there. It's huge. They can't move the UFO. And they built all kinds of systems around it. And some of the stones there, that's right, the display in my museum. They wanted to know what the stones absorb, what kind of energy did this UFO that is still there, standing there, emitted. Listen, there's no doubt they're aliens, they're bodies of aliens. I mean, this I've seen 50 years ago. Few people know about it. Obama, Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and quite a few others. It's going to be revealed very soon. I know it will be revealed.
Okay.
So those of you who are traveling, in his museum you'll see my documentation. Over 50 years ago, you know that I released the first pictures in Mexico City. on the front page of Novedades, Excelsior.
So I don't know why.
After all this time, finally Steven Spielberg is coming out.
With a new movie, 6/12/26. What's it called? Disclosure Day.
Open your eye.
Who knows why? Who knows if Obama even started this, or maybe Spielberg started it. And said,
We have to go beyond mundane politics. We have to realize this is an age of futurism, an age of disclosure, an age of being welcome into the galactic family of nations.
So we have very short time, but
the Adam figure mentioned in the Bible, both male and female, are a combination.
Are we hybrids? It depends on how you define it. No, actually we would say no, because we go back and we are kind of more spiritually based. We go back and it said when we came into this reality, which means we were existing in light garments of energy, we came into this reality, Genesis 3:21, and Yahweh made garments of skin for Adam and his wife, and he clothed them. That's after the fall. That's after us coming in here.
Is light beings.
Yes.
So there's a whole cosmology of consciousness that we've introduced to the ancient texts over the last 50 years in science, psychology, and sociology. Our work has also been in Egypt, decoding Egyptian documentation. And this is from the Keys of Enoch. You're taking liberties.
Okay, I just want to quickly say something.
It's our time that was short.
Yeah, so, and thanks for starting early. So ETs are anti-nuclear, very, very important to understand that. Most of them do not want us to. In fact, we would say, if anything that they're going to show up is if we misuse that technology. So, of course...
Over Japan, Fukushima, of course we have film of the actual ship that came over.
Yeah, I'm not used to that.
Encoded ancient Hebrew and Egyptian text, showing that there was a variety of life forms.
It's supposed to move, but anyway, this you can find it in Encounters, which was a Spielberg show on Netflix, and also it appears over Atucha, the power plant. And just to say that it's been around for a long time. That you have, we'll say, reptilians. This is all an Egyptian solar boat.
Human bodies, but
birds,
insect faces or reptilian faces.
Yeah, lions, birds. So
Suggesting what they call panspermia, or that creation took place in many different ways, on many different levels.
Well, the ancient Egyptians knew of the other species.
So we have just a few minutes left.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to create, and we have in many countries, a consciousness cosmology. By the use of certain sounds or mantras, particularly the divine names or expressions the ancients used, we realize we can go into altered states of consciousness, higher states of consciousness, avoid the negative and make contact with the positive. This is a time of orientation.
Right.
That we're being prepared for cosmic citizenship.
And so
the naysayers on the left, the naysayers on the right, we're not of the left wing or the right wing, we're of the up wing. The cosmic hierarchy is returning. The Christ light beings are coming back. The Maha avatars are coming back. We need to avoid the confusion, the chaos, and the destruction by looking at only the military options.
Yeah.
We have to look at the spiritual, psychological options that we have.
And so, as I mentioned, Dr. Jack's experience was from a Merkaba experience. We don't think that those are extraterrestrial. Ezekiel's vision of the chariot was also a Merkaba, but he saw a man, a lion, an ox, an eagle, which means he actually did see various forms
Categories,
of
intelligence.
Yeah, so our lion can also be our sun, but also cat-faced beings. An ox can be the cow, Taurus, location of the Pleiades. Hathor-type beings, man, our species. Flying eagle, symbol of the Milky Way, or horse-type beings. Yeah, there's a lot of those. So what is the difference between a UFO and a Merkaba?
One, a trans-dimensional aspect, not limited to a local universe like physical vehicles. Two, bringing forth positive messages, not negative, as poachers, those who take advantage of human naivete. The use of color codes and consciousness alignments to transport and communicate with humans who are sensitive, whether they are Pentecostal or Kabbalistic or charismatic, those who have developed, as we see here illustrated in our book, the higher geometries of thinking, sacred geometry, music, and color all together. And finally, that we understand that we have a future.
And it does not fly, but transports. So ultimately, the Merkaba is a thought form technology that can pass through the threshold gates and portals, essentially carrying multidimensional beings as well as matter beings to their soul's destination. I'm going to have to skip. Well, we also feel that there's extra celestials and ultra terrestrials.
So tomorrow, we invite you to our larger session. It's free. We'll show you some film footage.
We're just going to sing the sacred expression of Adam.
Listen very carefully.
You can
I'm
join
playing
us.
music. But just feel the vibration.
And then we'll end.
The higher Adam, or Adam Eve, concept means that we are here to energize the chakras, the energy thresholds of our body. I'm going to sing it 7 times.
And join us.
Adam Elyon, Adam Elyon, Adam Elyon, Adam Elyon, Adam Elyon, Adam Elyon, Adam Elyon.
So we're going to be doing a chanting.
So within the Bible, there's a Bible of music and mathematics. That's our Bible.
We're doing a chanting at 5 o'clock with singing bowls at Portal to Ascension, and Alan Steinfeld and us are having a workshop tomorrow. At Sunday, it's a free workshop in Laguna Room, so please join us
Bring
there.
your friends,
We have
your loved
lots
ones,
of books. We have
our books. This is the X-Files. This is the real story of the X-Files. Of Stanford Research Institute. 30 years of research.
We have catalogs, and we do have some books for sale, which we can do later.
We'll see you in the future. Be positive. God bless.
Hello, Don.